Hi everyone, it's Brian. I'm here with Cody Dericks from Next Best Picture to talk about the Oscar nominations and give our very early predictions in the top 8 categories as to who is going to win. How are we feeling about the Oscar nominations this year, Cody?
I feel like they both went about as well as they went. I feel like they went like I thought they would to a degree, and then some things did way better than I thought they would. There was not a lot of movies outside of Best Picture throughout the nominations in general, which means that a lot of the Best Picture nominees got 10, 13 nominations just because they were collecting all these below-the-line nominees, which is pretty much typical with how it goes lately. It's a lot of Best Picture love. A lot of the Best Picture nominees get love throughout the entire nomination process.
I was happy with a lot. I didn't think that Emilia Perez needed 13 nominations. Seemed a bit much. But, I was happy with how well The Substance did. Yes. I felt pretty good it would get into picture and actress and original screenplay. That director nomination. That is freaking awesome. They went nuts for that movie.
Yeah, and I was predicting that, but nervously, it's always tough to predict women for Best Director because the Academy still is not amazing with recognizing women in the director's field, but they seem to be getting better. It seems to be at a point where they're... This is going to sound very strange, but there may be one every year. but I mean, this year, her movie was up for a ton of other nominations and is very likely going to win 2. So, yeah, I wasn't surprised to see her there, but it was still exciting to see.
Yeah, most of my favorite films of the year did well. Nora got in everywhere it needed to. The Brutalist got 10 nominations. I was disappointed Challengers showed up nowhere. Yeah. I thought that could get into score and editing, or I thought it could do something. Geez Louise. But for the most part, this year, I'm pretty happy with the nominations. So I'm excited to break down, at this point, as we get toward the end of January, what are we feeling right now is going to actually win in these top 8 categories? So let's start with Best Adapted Screenplay. The nominees are A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. So how do we feel about those 5 nominations?
So that's exactly what I predicted.
Okay.
And even though I didn't have Sing Sing in picture, which we'll talk about later, I still felt good for it in this category. It made BAFTA.
Yeah.
It was a way to recognize the film in general because some of the actors are writers on the film. And it was the kind of movie that was present in award season enough to get people to watch it. And if it's eligible in this category, it makes sense that it got in. Overall, though, this was not really surprising at all. This was kind of just exactly as I thought it would go. 4 Best Picture nominees, one that clearly was very close.
Yeah, I wondered if we get a shocker in there. I thought about I'm Still Here. I almost predicted I'm Still Here to get into Adapted Screenplay. And I went, well, it's not going to get into picture, so...
Well, that's the crazy... We'll talk about it, but the crazy thing is that I saw people predicting it in Adapted Screenplay.
Right.
Which didn't happen.
But not picture.
I saw nobody predicting it in picture, which happened. So
I'm sure there were 5 people who did.
It must have been close. It must have been 6th place, likely.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Dune Part 2 might have had a shot there. The first Dune got into an adapted screenplay. But that movie... has faded a little bit in the awards conversation since it came out almost a year ago. So
yeah, it got half the nominations that the first one got.
Yeah, so. I kind of thought that might happen because of that March release date. Yeah. But really cool category. Obviously, at the Globes, Conclave won Best Screenplay. Do we think that has it in the bag at the Oscars?
Yeah, I don't really see a strong competitor here.
Yeah.
A Complete Unknown is not... really going to be recognized for its writing. It's not that type of movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Nickel Boys is weak in general. It only got 2 nominations. Sing Sing is not in Best Picture. And what's the last nomination? Emilia Perez is a musical.
You forgot about Emilia Perez?
Silly me.
Perez? Oh, I'm sorry.
Emilia Perez. And they don't give musicals writing awards. I don't think it's happened since, the 40s. It's just not something they do.
Yeah, I thought, well, A Complete Unknown, really overperformed. Barbaro got in, Mangold got in. Could A Complete Unknown surprise us and win Adapted Screenplay? Conclave did not get into Director.
Yeah, but the writing in Conclave is the story
right.
of the film. It's so crackling and clever and exciting and thrilling.
Yeah.
And it's just an easy win for Conclave. This could be the only win it gets. I'm predicting it for a few more personally right now, but I feel pretty confident that Conclave is walking away with at least one award, and it's going to be this one.
Yeah, it's probably Conclave, but I don't think it's 100%.
Okay. I mean, nothing is. Especially in...
But yeah, I think, you could say, well, Emilia Perez has 13 nominations. Like, maybe that could win here, too. But I think you're right about, like, the musical aspect of both that film and A Complete Unknown.
It's not only a musical, it's completely sung through. So they'd have to really do some strategic narrative shifting here to say, well, it's about the story and, the kinds of things that writing is not obviously, which a lot of people associate writing with dialogue, obviously. There's more to it, but the Academy leans towards clever dialogue, which helps Conclave.
Yeah, and I guess you could write off Nickel Boys because it only has those 2 nominations, but Sarah Polley won for Women Talking and in adapted screenplay, and that movie only had the 2 nominations.
True,
but I don't know if you look at Nickel Boys as like a screenwriting feat necessarily.
Well, and that year in particular, adapted screenplay was weak, if you want to call it that. I think the only other 2...
Top Gun Maverick and
All Quiet were the only other 2 Best Picture nominees, I believe. And neither of those are, typical screenplays that they give Oscars to.
Yeah, I think, like, the smart choice here is Conclave for sure. So our early prediction to win the Oscar for adapted screenplay is Conclave. All right, next is Best Original Screenplay. The nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance. So the winner's going to be obviously September 5, right?
I predicted this to get in here. I thought it would do better, though. And I thought it could be in picture. I didn't end up guessing that, but it clearly was seen by enough of the Academy to get recognized in an important category. But I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like May, December last year. It's like the win for that movie is getting the nomination.
The non-Best Picture nominee. Right.
Okay, so, we've only had the Globes. We've only seen Conclave win screenplay, so original could go in a couple different directions here. What are we feeling right now?
I'm feeling Anora. I knew you'd like that. It feels...
I kind of like that movie.
It feels like the kind of... Je ne sais quoi. That kind
of... like, the best movie of the year should win original screenplay?
Because it's not my favorite, but it's up there. It has the kind of crackling original screenplay. I think people hear original and associate it with most unique.
Originality. Yeah, it's not what that is, yeah.
It's just a factor that meaning it's not based on anything.
Exactly.
But the idea does help something like Anora, which is exciting, is vibrant, has really great characters, has really crackling dialogue. It just feels like an original screenplay winner, which is odd to say. Although I do think The Brutalist, if they really love it, could win here.
That would kind of shock me. I don't think we look at The Brutalist as a writing win. That just would be surprising. So yeah, it's like obviously Anora is what I want to win here. I think Sean Baker is due in a way. He's made so many great films. He's not going to win in director. This is where you reward him. And then you look at the rest of the categories, like, okay, well, what else could win? Like, maybe The Brutalist. It did very well.
Yeah.
In some ways, I feel like The Substance would have a better shot at winning in screenplay than The Brutalist. Like, if they really wanted to go nuts and give that movie a really cool prize in screenplay.
Obviously, it won Best Screenplay at Cannes.
Yep. Farja's also in director.
Mm-hmm. It would be a way to reward her. Mm-hmm. I think, though, that the screenplay nomination for The Substance is more about the general idea of the film, the very concept of The Substance, less so the dialogue. And you see dialogue get rewarded more here usually. Sometimes that's not true. There's things like Belfast, which was kind of a career win, and also exactly. But I think Anora has the goods here. Feels like the kind of screenplay that they give original screenplay Oscars to.
Yeah, I've been feeling that since I saw the movie in September. I said, I don't know what's going to happen at the Oscars with that. It's probably winning Best Original Screenplay. like, that's what I've been thinking since September. So, like, between now and the Oscars, I feel like Anora in original screenplay has to lose at least 1 or 2 places for me to go, oh, okay, maybe it is The Brutalist. Maybe it is something else. I don't think A Real Pain has a shot. It didn't get into picture.
No, when it lost Best Picture. If it was in Best Picture,
in
I would say
picture.
that might be in second place.
Okay.
But unfortunately, without a picture nomination, there hasn't been a screenplay winner that was not a Best Picture nominee since they expanded it to 5.
Okay. So it's been a while.
Not something they do. It's been a little bit. It's been since I was in high school.
So, yeah, I mean, if there was one movie that could beat Anora here and I would, like, jump up and cheer, it is The Substance. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility because Farja got into director too, but I think, like, the smart prediction here is Anora. So I would say our final... No, wait, not final.
Our early prediction.
We will have final predictions in the weeks to come.
What day is it? January.
Okay. Our early prediction to win Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars is Anora. All right, next is Best Supporting Actor. The nominees are Yura Borisov, Anora, Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice. All right, how do we feel about supporting actor this year?
So it felt like for a long time that Kieran Culkin might just sweep the season.
Mm-hmm.
He did very well with critics. He won the Globe, obviously. He gave a speech that was charming.
I don't remember his speech.
It was very, quirky. Make of that what you will. But I think now that A Real Pain is not in Best Picture, it shows that the movie doesn't have the full support we thought it did. I still think he's the favorite, but I don't think there's a potential that it might not be as easy a path for him.
Yeah.
And I could see a world where somebody like Edward Norton from A Complete Unknown puts up a fight.
Yeah. No, what did I read that the last supporting actor win for a non-Best Picture nominee was it Christopher Plummer, Beginners? I feel like I read that.
Okay.
Like, it's been a while since like someone winning, but I don't know. I think this performance is so flashy. It's so great. Anyone who watches that movie, you're going to want to give him the trophy. It's that kind of performance.
Yeah, and we've had acting winners in other categories more recently. We had Brendan Fraser in The Whale. We had Jessica Chastain and Tammy Faye. So, yeah, that's true of that one category, but I don't think voters think in that sense.
They're not sitting around analyzing
supporting actor
who was
must
the
be
last
Best Picture, but actress and actor, whatever. I don't think so. So
yeah, I don't think, if someone really loves that performance, loves that movie, they're not going to say, well, it didn't get into picture, so I'm going to vote for someone else.
What it means, though, is that there's a potential that less people are watching it. That's what missing Best Picture means.
Right.
Now, you'd hope that Academy members would watch all the nominees, or at least the ones in the top 8, but not always the case.
I don't think that happens.
No. Still, Kieran Culkin is a popular actor.
The Brutalist is too long.
The Brutalist is too long. Oh, my God. I've seen it twice. Grow up. Be an adult.
You've seen it twice?
Yes.
That's like 7 hours.
Yes, it is. And I thought it was good. Didn't even love it.
Okay. You were like, it's fine.
It's fine.
I'll go watch it again.
It's nice. It's not nice. It's very harrowing.
I was thrilled to see Guy Pearce get in because he missed at SAG, and I got nervous. I was like, oh my God, do not snub him. Come on. So I'm happy he's here. For the longest time, I thought he could be second place, but because he missed at SAG and because A Complete Unknown overperformed, I think Edward Norton has to be considered second place. He's now a 4-time Oscar nominee. He's never won. Mm-hmm. He's very beloved. He's been around since the 90s. He's so great. I personally wasn't wowed by his performance in A Complete Unknown. Like, I know you liked it.
I liked him. I thought it was nice.
I walked out, I said, Chalamet was good. Barbaro, frickin' fantastic. I would love to see her get nominated somewhere. And then SAG and the Oscars happened, as we'll get to. Norton, I was like, fine.
Well, the thing about Norton is that now with all 4 of his nominations, you could argue that he was maybe second place for all of them. Probably not American History X. That was more of a surprise nomination. But his other 3, I would say...
Oh, for sure, Primal Fear. He almost won it. I bet.
Yeah. And I think what helps him here is that his performance is so against type. He's playing a very lovable person. He's playing very soft-spoken, which is not only against type with the types of things he plays in film for the most part, it also, frankly, goes against the type of what he's known for off-screen. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of transformational performance could appeal to voters, especially because they clearly loved this movie.
Yeah, he's playing a real person. I mean, there are things about like if he can win somewhere, like if Norton overtakes Culkin at SAG or BAFTA or something, it's gonna be hard to go into the Oscars super confident about Culkin, especially because of the lack of a Best Picture nomination. I feel like if there's anyone who beats him, it's Norton. I don't really see Pierce doing it without the SAG nomination. You're a Borisov. I just think he's too new. I couldn't see him winning.
It's also a very understated performance.
Yeah.
It's my favorite in the category, but it's not really flashy. It's more about just building his character across the course of the film, which is great, but is not something that Oscar usually is drawn to.
And Jeremy Strong is fantastic in The Apprentice. I think his win is just getting that nomination. I don't think he has a shot. Like, I wouldn't even put him in the top 3 necessarily.
No, he's, also not a Best Picture nominee.
Yeah.
That movie kind of limped to 2 nominations, which is more than I thought it was going to get.
Got the August Osage County.
Yes.
2 acting nominations.
80s Manhattan County. I don't know what county it is. Oops.
But I like this category. I would have liked Clarence Macklin to have gotten in. I thought, he got in at BAFTA, right? So I was like, well, maybe it could still happen. That would have been a cool nomination. I was feeling Washington up until about 2 weeks ago, and then I thought back. I was like, I think he needed to get the SAG nomination.
Yeah, that movie was just kind of nothing.
Yeah.
It got 1 nomination.
But yeah, and like in November, everyone was saying he's gonna win.
Everyone.
Almost everyone. So many people were like, "Oh, he's gonna get his 3rd Oscar." I'm like, I don't know.
I just did not see a world in which Denzel Washington, the greatest living actor, got his 3rd Oscar in supporting for Gladiator 2. I don't think so. Sorry. And the movie then got just an okay reception. So once that happened, I was like, it's not happening. He'll get the Globe, which
they needed. They should have called it something else, like not Gladiator 2, Gladiator : something. Then maybe he could have gotten in. Like Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2. They're like sequel.
Little Gladiator, because he's younger.
I'm like, we have to see what happens in the next few weeks. It's hard to be super confident about this, but as of this moment, Kieran Culkin absolutely is the front runner.
Yeah.
So I would say,
for lack of better evidence.
We're only going off the Globes. It's a little tricky right now. So I would say our early prediction to win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars is Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain. Okay, now we have Best Supporting Actress. The nominees are Monica Barbaro, A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande, Wicked, Felicity Jones, The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini, Conclave, and Zoe Saldana, Emilia Perez. So Best Supporting Actress, how are we feeling, Cody? Are we happy with these nominees? Are you sad that Jamie Lee Curtis didn't get in? He's crying.
It's a fine performance. It's fine. It's fine. I like it better than her Oscar-winning performance. I'll say that. But
I agree.
I don't think sorry, Jamie, if you're watching. I don't think she needed to be considered one of the best 5 performances of the year, personally.
Were you predicting her?
I was.
Okay.
Yep.
I switched at the end to Curtis. I thought with her win 2 years ago and getting BAFTA and SAG, I thought...
You had Monica Barbaro originally, right?
Yeah. I did a video with Nick Rourkraut, and I had the 5 that ended up in Supporting Actress. And Barbaro, if she had gotten in at BAFTA, I would have gone with her at the very end. But I went... Like, could Barbaro actually get in over Curtis with Curtis having the 2 big precursors? I was like, I don't know. They love Curtis. I wanted to stick with Barbaro, so that was the only acting nomination I did not get right in my very final video.
Wow, okay.
So I went 19 for 20. Did you get 19 for 20?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
The hell? Aw. Poor thing. Stupid.
Were you predicting Barbaro?
No. I had Jamie Lee Curtis.
So why do we think Monica Barbaro got in? Was it just the over-performance, really, of that movie?
They love that movie. The Last Showgirl, you gotta figure they was definitely underseen compared
Yeah.
to a complete unknown.
That's where my worry was, or not worry, but just like, that's where I thought the vulnerability
Yeah.
was for Last Showgirl. I'm like, are enough people seeing this, like, in the Academy?
I had this vision of, she gets the SAG nomination, so does Pamela Anderson. She gets the BAFTA nomination, and then the screener's right there. It's a very easy watch. It's short.
Yeah, it's like 85 minutes. It's
so
very brief.
You just throw it in. I had this vision of voters doing that, or frankly, not even doing that and still voting for Jamie Lee Curtis because she's so well liked in the industry.
Yeah.
And is such a hard campaigner. But that did not end up happening, and they just went with somebody from a movie that they already had seen.
Yeah.
Giving a great performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, again, like, she was my favorite performance in that movie, so I was thrilled to see her get in. I was really excited that Felicity Jones made it, because I was worried about her. I was reading these things like, oh, people aren't finishing The Brutalist, and I'm like, well, she's in the second half, so that might hurt her chances here. She missed 2 big places, right? She missed Critics' Choice and SAG.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm pretty confident Guy Pearce makes it. I wasn't so sure about Jones. Supporting actress was so chaotic. I'm like, Jones could miss, but I predicted her in the end because I thought the performance was too strong for her to not get it. Like, she had to make it.
Right.
I'm very happy about it.
If you finish the movie, she gives the most Oscar-friendly moments.
Mm-hmm.
She has her Oscar clip already ready to go. It's right there.
At the end?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So-
isn't it, like, are they going to want to spoil the end, though?
I think by the time we get to the Oscars.
If they show clips, right? I think they're doing what they did last year where they bring out the 5 previous winners.
Still, like, she in her performance has her Oscar clip,
Right,
which
right,
is
right,
very
for people
appealing
to
to
see,
voters.
yeah.
Right. So I was predicting her. I was a little nervous about it, but it made sense. It made sense. And then she got in.
Yeah, but I would have probably those 2 at the bottom in terms
Yes.
of who could win. Isabella Rossellini, I've always looked at as a spoiler because she's like the one, like, veteran in the category. It's her first nomination. She's been doing great work for decades, and here we finally give her an Oscar nomination for a very brief performance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in some ways it's too small of a role for her to actually win, but you never know, man. Like, at BAFTA, they could go for her.
They could, and that drives me nuts, because, like, yes, the performance is less than 10 minutes, but where else should she go? You're basically, and this is how Academy voters think, I think, is then you're saying, like, oh, well, she gave too small a performance to even be considered for awards, which is, like, frustrating that the Academy voters think that way, especially when the 2 frontrunners in this are giving
our lead role.
performances. Lead. And I don't really
Find a
care
middle
about
ground.
category fraud that much. It doesn't really keep me up at night, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, talk about polar opposites and things. Like, yeah, I mean, if they really want to go for, the performance, that's actually supporting, it's Rossellini here, But, category fraud, always a factor at the Oscars. Saldana, right now, has to be considered the frontrunner in a way because Amelia Perez did so well, 13 nominations, and she won at the Globes. But do you think Ariana Grande has a path? Like, could she overtake her?
I do. I do still see a path. There's 2 worlds here. There's one world where Zoe Saldana sweeps the rest of the season, which is very likely. And there's another world where Ariana Grande wins SAG. Maybe Critics' Choice, probably not. But SAG could be enough to win. Mm-hmm. We've seen it happen before. Jamie Lee Curtis did it herself a few years ago with just SAG. Mm-hmm. And if Amelia Perez builds backlash significantly, it could hurt it in other races. I don't think that may affect Zoe Saldana because even people who don't like the movie kind of have the caveat of she's amazing, but she is. She's great in the movie.
Yeah, I've loved her for years. I think she's a great actress, and I'm happy for her that this is happening. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm still thinking Zoe Saldana, but I don't think it's over yet for Ariana Grande.
The reason I think Saldana is probably going to win is that with 13 nominations, I don't see necessarily the movie winning in any of the other top 8 categories. That would feel weird to me for that movie to get 13 nominations and it just gets like a couple technicals and that's it.
Sure, but it happens. I mean, Benjamin Button had 13 nominations and it only got 3 below the line.
I was delivering a point here and then you go and give me these statistics.
Finish your point and then I'll pretend I didn't say it.
No, I'm just kidding. Benjamin Button got 13 nominations. And what did that movie win?
Art direction, makeup, and visual effects.
Wow. I had no idea that got that many. I remember it did well.
Yeah.
But boy, holy cow. Is anyone really talking about that movie now?
It's nice.
It's fine.
I like it. It's a
Fincher.
weird. Yeah, it's in between his two most like cynical movies, Zodiac and
Social Network. Yeah.
And it's like lovely meditation. I like it.
So you're saying it is possible, like Amelia Perez could really come up short and just win a couple technicals, go for get like 2 or 3 wins out of 13 in the below the line.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen it with other movies that racked up double-digit nominations. The Irishman and Killers of the Flower Moon had 10 nominations and got nothing. It happens. I do think Amelia Perez has one at least secure with song, and maybe something like editing. We'll see. So I think it comes out of the ceremony with 2 to 3
wins.
Yes,
that's it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
We'll talk about it, but I don't think it's winning Best Picture. I have trouble seeing that. So yeah, Zoe Saldana could easily get caught up in that.
Yeah, my thing with Ariana Grande is that it's comedic performance. I think that hurts her maybe a little bit, and because there's a part 2 coming. Do voters think that way? Maybe they don't.
Well, knowing what I know about Wicked as a musical theater boy, most of Glinda's award focusy stuff is in part 1. They're adding a song for her to part 2.
So this is the time to reward her.
Yeah, she has kind of one on the stage. She has one impressive moment with a song called Thank Goodness, and they're adding a song for her in part 2. So there is still stuff to reward her, and maybe, who knows, down the road it'll be residual love for we didn't give you the Oscar for the first one, but you're still very good in this one.
How are you feeling right now? Do you think, if you wanted to make the prediction now, would you say Grande?
It's really tough. I would say no.
Okay.
Because Zoe Saldana has hard evidence supporting her case. Yeah. Ariana Grande is more theory. This is all theory, but she has less in her corner right now in terms of things we can definitively show that they like this performance, besides getting nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah, so I still think Grande has a shot. If she can win at SAG, if she can win something big along the way, I would love to go into Oscars night with at least 2 of these acting categories not really knowing, right? That would be exciting. It's so boring when we go into the final show and it's just been sweeps everywhere. Come on, give us some suspense. That would be great. But right now, our early prediction to win Best Supporting Actress is Zoe Saldana, Amelia Perez. All right, next up is Best Actor. The nominees are Adrian Brody, The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet, A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes, Conclave, and Sebastian Stan, The Apprentice. So this was an interesting category, Cody, because since September, we've known 4 of those 5.
Yeah.
Outside of a total shocker, I was like, well, maybe they could snub Coleman Domingo or something if Sing Sing really underperforms. But I thought even if that movie didn't get in pretty much anywhere else, I thought he was pretty safe. So we were all just going back and forth on that 5th place slot. Did you predict Sebastian Stan in the end?
No, and I had him for a little bit, but then I had this crazy House of Cards where I had Stanley Tucci in supporting actor.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
And that meant I didn't have Jeremy Strong, and I felt really weird having Sebastian Stan, but not Jeremy Strong, even though the vice versa felt more likely.
Wow.
So when I took Jeremy Strong out, I felt like I had to take Sebastian Stan. These annoying, these ways we tangle ourselves up as people who follow these. I had Daniel Craig for a long time, and swapped him out.
I did too, up until the last minute.
And then put him back in.
It was him missing a BAFTA, and I thought, well, if he couldn't crack 6 at BAFTA, it's a heavy international voting block at the Academy. I was like, I don't know. I'm getting a sense that The Apprentice is kind of surging right now in those 2 acting categories, and because of Stan's win at the Globe, obviously for a different movie, I was like, I think there is appreciation for the work he's done this past year, and I think he might slip in over a movie that has not shown up anywhere else queer. It's just been a play for Craig. I still think, it's too bad for him in a way because he's such a great actor. He's been so good for decades, and he got very close. He was probably in 6th over Hugh Grant, I would say, for Heretic. I bet it was Craig, like the next.
Yeah, definitely.
Craig's like, why can't there be 6 nominees?
Probably so close, I know. And you saw people hemming and hawing about Sebastian Stan splitting votes with a different man. I never really bought that. I think the attention was so strongly on his performance in The Apprentice that it was not really an issue. Even though he won the Globe for a different man, it also kind of felt like, here's your trophy for both performances in a way. Mm-hmm. So I knew if it was going to be one, it was going to be The Apprentice, obviously, and it ended up working out for him.
So, I mean, I think Coleman Domingo is great in Sing Sing. I don't think he can win. Stan is just happy to be here. So Brody won at the Globes. I've heard talk that Chalamet could maybe win at SAG, and I've seen some people float that Fiennes could win at BAFTA. What if that happened?
I've seen that happen. I've seen that theory too. I could see it. And I do think Chalamet wins at SAG.
Yeah. Why are we? Because The Brutalist underperformed so bad at
it's
SAG.
the only nomination they have at SAG.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
They clearly like to complete unknown. That's where Monica Barbaro first showed up. It got the ensemble nomination, and he's a very popular actor, and the SAG is the most populous voting body of all these precursors. So
playing a real life person, Bob Dylan, like there's been a lot with Chalamet. I'm like, I mean, he's young, but he's not like that young.
And SAG is where you see the tide start to turn for performances.
Yeah.
Things like Eddie Redmayne, Brendan Fraser, Jamie Lee Curtis, where they felt like a potential, but there was a stronger, like more veteran actor
Keaton,
in the lead.
Birdman.
I guess that doesn't really count for Jamie Lee Curtis, but whatever. And Ray Fiennes could win at BAFTA. I mean, but also either the other two could win at BAFTA. They liked both movies.
Okay.
So
yeah, I still think Brody probably wins at BAFTA.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Chalamet wins at SAG, no matter what happens at Critics' Choice and BAFTA. Like we're gonna have to take him seriously at the Oscars. Like if Chalamet can just win there, he could win the Oscar. Totally.
Yeah, and the excitement around his movie makes me kind of want to predict Chalamet right now, which I might do, just for lack of better evidence, even though I said the opposite for Zoe Saldana. I know. But Adrian Brody, he already has an Oscar. He's the only previous winner of all 20 nominees, which is wild. There is the factor of the AI controversy that I don't think the industry is really going to care about, and they seem to take care of it pretty quickly. They were like, it's one little thing.
Until you mentioned it here.
Don't worry about it. Well, I mean, some voters are going to consider it, as they should. But I don't know if that factors in with the Academy at large. I think most of them probably either don't understand or care about that factor, and just like the movie and his performance, which he's excellent in.
Yeah, it's tough right now because in like late February, we might all just be shifting to Chalamet. Like it's going to be Chalamet for sure. And here we are in January going, well, it could be Brody.
Yeah, and I called it for Chalamet like when the trailer dropped in this past summer.
That he would win?
Yeah. It just felt like the kind of...
I said he's going to be nominated.
Well, sure, but it felt like the kind of performance that wins, music biopic, real person. James Mangold has won people Oscars before. And Timothy Chalamet, even though he's so young, already has a nomination. Arguably had like one or two other times where he could have been nominated. So some people might see him as overdue, even though he's, below 30 years old.
Yeah.
But he's such a figure of the industry. He had Dune this year. He is one of the few people that still draws in an audience with just his name. He's, he had Wonka was a hit last year.
He's got a lot going.
He's got a lot in his favor that I think.
But that's like, why didn't he win at the Globes?
I know. I predicted him at the Globes.
I felt like if there's one place he could win, it's the Globes. But then they went with Brody there, so I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to wait and see what happens at SAG. And whatever happens at SAG is where I'll probably lean, unless Brody is going in with Globe, Critics' Choice, and BAFTA. It's a tough balancing act there.
I am sticking with Brody as of now because I do think it's the superior performance. That is my favorite male performance of the year. I think he is extraordinary in that film. It's. I mean, if you love that movie, I feel like you have to go with Brody. And I think because it got 10 nominations, if The Brutalist had missed a few key places, it was supposed to get it, like screenplay or something, and I was like, okay, like it missed supporting actress for Jones or something, I'd be like, but because it got in pretty much everywhere I hoped it would, I it's close, but I'm still going to go with Brody.
It did even better. I mean, it got in places like editing, which people were not predicting it for. But A Complete Unknown also did better than we thought it would.
Yeah.
It got Monica Barbaro. It got things like costume design. So they both did well.
Okay, so are you going to go with Chalamet?
I am. I'm going to
Okay.
call my shot. I'm going to say Timothée Chalamet.
One of us is going to be wrong.
Or both of us.
Or it's fines.
I don't know.
And both of us on Oscars night will be like,
I'm going to call my shot for Chalamet now. It
Okay.
could be Brody, obviously, and I might change my tune. But I'm going to say Chalamet.
Okay. My early prediction for Best Actor is Adrian Brody, The Brutalist, and you were going with Timothée Chalamet, A Complete Unknown. Okay, Best Actress. We have Cynthia Erivo, Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon, Amelia Perez, Mikey Madison, Honora, Demi Moore, The Substance, and Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here. This has been a category, Cody. How do we feel about Best Actress?
It went exactly as I thought it would.
Yep.
So I was not surprised. I
No
saw
surprises.
some people still holding on to the hope of Marion Jean-Baptiste.
I just
Unfortunately, I didn't see it.
I just didn't think it was going to happen. I think there wasn't room for that.
Which is a shame.
performance.
She's amazing.
So great.
But yeah, there was too many other contenders with more favorable probability and
Yeah.
stats behind them.
I feel like in a different year she could have made it.
Yes.
It was just very competitive this year. There were like 10 plus performances that were really kind of fighting it out all throughout, the fall
Yeah.
and winter.
There's a world where Fernanda Torres didn't win the Globe, then it also maybe doesn't get into picture, and then maybe she doesn't get nominated. Things we'll never know in another universe.
So you're saying the Globes matter?
This year, yes. This year, I think it got people's eyes on things
Whoa,
that
Torres.
were not maybe in their foresight immediately. But this category went as I thought it would.
Yeah, it's weird to think like if the Globe had gone to Jolie instead of Torres, like Torres just wouldn't have been nominated because of not winning at the Globes. It's interesting to think that.
Right, and then that doesn't even necessarily mean that Jolie gets in. She probably does because the Globes, whatever. But yeah, this is not surprising for me.
Yeah. So, actress, I mean, I love that Erivo got in. I don't think she can win. I think that's just a
Part two.
Maybe part two.
She's winning for part two. I'm calling my
You're
shot.
calling it a year out.
Yes, I
She's
am.
winning for part 2. That could
Yep,
happen.
knowing what she gets to do in part 2 of Wicked.
Okay.
They're adding stuff. Yeah.
Gascon obviously, made history, first trans person to get into an acting category.
First open trans person.
Yeah.
First out trans person.
Out trans, yeah. So, I mean, that's a great nomination. She got in everywhere. I don't think she can win. I mean, maybe she could surprise us somewhere along the way.
I love the movie.
It's possible.
If they go crazy for it. She's happily in third place, I'd say.
Yeah. So, okay. So you
Or
think,
fourth.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So you have Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, Fernanda Torres, because of that Best Picture nomination for I'm Still Here, we do have to take Torres into account as like a potential winner, although that would be insane given that she's not nominated anywhere else along the way. So it's like, how do you confidently predict Torres if she's not at BAFTA SAG Critics' Choice? That's just going to be really tough.
The only way I'll be able to predict that is if we get something like 2020 when Frances McDormand won for Nomadland, where every single major precursor went with a different performer.
Right.
Which
So
could happen.
yeah. So let's say Critics' Choice, they go with Mikey Madison.
Sure.
Demi wins at SAG, but then BAFTA goes to like Gascon. Yeah. Like if they go like
Or Cynthia Erivo wins at SAG.
Yeah.
Who knows? Like these things could happen.
I am thinking right now, if Demi is able to sweep, even if she lost at Critics' Choice to, let's say, Mikey Madison, but Demi gets SAG, Demi gets BAFTA, then I'm going to stick pretty confidently with Demi for the Oscar. But if we see that Demi is vulnerable somewhere along the way, outside of Critics' Choice maybe, then I'll be like, maybe Torres can pull it off.
Yeah.
Why am I calling her Demi as if she's like my friend?
My good friend.
I'm not going to call her more.
That's what we do with stars. We invite them into our lives. I do think that she's pretty secure for SAG, though.
Yeah. I feel like SAG happens for more.
Yeah. I actually started predicting her for the Oscar before the Globes. I just had this feeling. And then once she won the Globe, it felt really secure. She gave that amazing speech.
That was crazy when she won the Globe. I was like, it's going to be Madison, right? No. It's more.
Yep. I could see her maybe losing the BAFTA, but I don't think so. I don't really know to who. Mm-hmm. So I think she's probably just going to sweep her way through the season, but there is a world where Fernanda Torres, who I do believe is in second place, could take it.
I mean, I think if Demi Moore wins pretty much everything, it's going to be hard to see Torres overtaking her at the end of the day. But there is absolutely a world where Torres can win this thing.
Yeah.
Even not being a big part of the season at many of these ceremonies. For the longest time, I thought Mikey Madison would be the front runner. And at this point, I don't see it. I don't think she can win the Oscar, even though I think she would deserve it. She's fantastic. What an all-timer win Demi Moore would be for The Substance and Best Actress. That would be one of my favorite wins in that category.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. That type of performance, her for her career, that type of movie.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
I mean, it would be the third year in a row that we were getting something related to sci-fi fantasy in Best Actress. 4 years if you want to count the Tammy Faye makeup as science fiction, which you could. But yeah, it just shows a really interesting realigning of how we think of not just Best Actress, but performances in general of the Oscars.
Yeah, I feel like if Demi Moore can win at SAG, I'm going to feel pretty good about her going into the Oscars, even though there is that Torres, possibility with, but I'm Still Here got into picture, so did The Substance. So did Honora. So it's like...
All five of them are Best Picture
They're all in Best Picture, all five, yeah.
Which
is
amazing.
really great,
yeah.
right? Sometimes we get one or two in the Best Picture nomination.
The last time it happened was 1977.
Wow!
So it's been a little bit.
That's crazy. So when they've had the 10 nominees for Best Picture, we've never had a Best Actress year where all five were in
Right, and that year was helped because two nominees came from the same movie.
Oh,
the
right. Wow.
So.
That's crazy. That's awesome. So yeah, as of now, I'm going with Demi Moore. Are you going with Moore?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, I would love for Madison to win. A Torres shocker would be one for the ages. That would be pretty crazy considering she's not part of most of the ceremonies. But I think the smart choice right now is that Demi Moore is winning that Oscar in March. So she is our early prediction to win Best Actress, Demi Moore for The Substance. All right, 2 categories left. Best Director, we have Sean Baker, Honora, Brady Corbet, The Brutalist, James Mangold, A Complete Unknown, Jacques Audiard, Amelia Perez, and Coralie Farja, The Substance. One of my favorite nominations this year. Coralie Farja getting into Director. I went nuts in my reaction video.
Yeah. I got nervous when I thought it was going to be 5 dudes when James Mangold's name popped up. But at that point, we'd already lost Edward Berger. So it just ended up being... I was happy.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I was like, is this alphabetical by name, by movie? And so I assumed that last slot was going to Berger. That's what I was thinking in my head. And so when they said Farja, I went, oh my God, it happened.
Yeah. Same thing last year. Justine Triet was the last nominee last year, I think.
Yeah.
So it was like, ooh.
Have you seen the video of Farja reacting to her director nomination? She just flipped. Oh my gosh. Awesome. One of my favorite videos I've watched recently. So well deserved. I did think she did one of the best directing jobs of 2024. So that's awesome. I don't think she can win.
No. No. Sorry.
Yeah,
the nomination is the win here.
Yeah, I think Mangold is just happy to be there. Mm-hmm. I think him getting in was kind of a surprise even though he got in at DGA. That just didn't seem like an Oscar pick.
Right. So. Well, a lot of us predicted him as because you don't predict 5 for 5 with DGA. It never happens. Hasn't happened in a long time.
Okay.
And so a lot of us, myself included, were like, well, he's the obvious one you take out. It was Edward Berger. Very strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought Berger was vulnerable. I just thought Conclave was popular enough, and he missed last time for All Quiet, right?
Right.
Director. I thought, well, they'll make it up to him this time.
He missed last time, I think, because he didn't have the name recognition.
Yeah.
But I thought that meant that would only help him out this time because now people know who he is, and he has now directed 2 strong Best Picture nominees.
So at the Globes, Brady Corbet won for The Brutalist. Can anyone beat him at the Oscars at this point, do you think?
I do.
Could Audiard win?
Yes. I do think there's a world where even if Amelia Perez doesn't win Best Picture, Jacques Audiard could still win. He is well respected. He's been working for a long time. This is his first Oscar nomination, I believe. And they sometimes like to reward movies like that in this category, even if they don't give it Best Picture. It reminds me of Damien Chazelle for La La Land, something like, which is also a musical, obviously. Best Picture, Best Director, we see often go to the more technically impressive movie lately, which could also apply to The Brutalist. So that might help Brady Corbet out anyway.
Yeah, Sean Baker, I think he made the best movie of the year. I would love to see him win, but I think we reward him in original screenplay. That's his prize. So I do think it comes down to Corbet or Audiard. I don't know. Like, is there going to be enough passion for Audiard to overtake Corbet? I'm not feeling it at this point, but it's possible.
I'm also not feeling it. I think Brady Corbet has been pretty solid in this category for a while.
Yeah. It's
He'll
just
probably win DGA, he'll probably win BAFTA. So,
like, in some ways, I feel like, I mean, regardless of how you feel about The Brutalist, it is a pretty immense, spectacular directorial vision. And just the amount of years he put into making that movie, getting it done, doing such a great job. I think Corbet is our winner in director this year.
I do too.
So our early prediction to win Best Director at the Oscars is Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. And finally, Best Picture. The 10 nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. So would you say the biggest shocker in the top 8 categories, at least, was I'm Still Here in Picture?
Absolutely.
That was wild. It didn't even register at first for me. I was like, wait, what?
No. And in the announcement order, it was I'm Still Here immediately followed by Nickel Boys. So it was like the two least likely just happened. And I was predicting Nickel Boys. I was kind of hoping it would happen. I had a feeling. The Oscars like to kind of last minute swoop in and reward these movies that have been kind of limping along through award season. Things like Women Talking, Past Lives, which all, including Nickel Boys, got just picture and writing. So I had this feeling, this vision, almost like a prophecy, to quote Wicked. But it ended up being correct. What I didn't see was that wouldn't even be the biggest surprise, that I'm Still Here would be here.
So were you predicting what, A Real Pain or Sing Sing?
I was predicting
not
a Real Pain, not Sing Sing.
Okay,
No.
A Real Pain.
Yeah.
That felt like a crowd-pleasing kind of pick for Picture. I'm still kind of, surprised that A Real Pain didn't make it.
It had PGA. It's walking in with what we thought was a likely acting win and screenplay nomination at least. It just felt correct.
Yeah.
It wasn't even my least likely prediction.
Yeah, I was not prepared on Oscar nominations morning this year to have my biggest, shock reaction to Picture. Usually it's in an acting category where someone I love or, someone surprises there. Picture usually, we kind of know, 9 of the 10, maybe we'll get a little surprise, but I'm Still Here was a huge surprise. Now, the winner of Picture is tough to call right now. There is a path, I think, for Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez.
I think respectfully, I don't think there's a path for Anora.
Even if it wins screenplay?
No. I think screenplay is a singular...
Maybe I'm biased because I love that frickin' movie.
Viewers, what do you think?
It didn't win anything at the Globes. That kind of hurt its chances.
I just think it's going to get screenplay, and that'll be its reward for the film and for Sean Baker.
That's
Spotlight, yes, won with just writing, I know, 10 years ago.
It would be hard to justify Anora winning Picture if Mikey Madison can't win Actress. I feel like she has to win Actress.
Yeah.
For the movie to win Picture.
I mean, there's a path where, frankly, Anora, Conclave, and Emilia Perez are all competitive in Best Editing, which is a very important category. And 2 of those movies are likely going to win screenplay. So, there is a world. I think Anora is 4th place at best right now. I see a much clearer path for Brutalist, Emilia Perez, Conclave in that order.
Yeah, I would have Anora in 4th as well. But, what are you leaning toward at this moment? What do you think can win Picture?
I'm leaning towards The Brutalist.
Yeah, me too.
I do still think there's a world where Emilia Perez or Conclave could win. Conclave could win writing, editing, score, and then take Best Picture. That makes a lot of sense. Emilia Perez could win song, editing, supporting actress, picture. That makes sense. Brutalist could win score, actor, director, picture. That makes sense. Maybe production. Oh, cinematography. It's winning cinematography.
Yeah.
So there's strong potential win paths for all 3 of them. I've seen a lot of people looking at the 13 nominations for Emilia Perez and going, "Oh, it's over." And no,
Not
it is not
necessarily.
often, or not always, that the nomination leader
Yeah.
wins Best Picture. That didn't happen for Power of the Dog. That didn't happen for, I believe, The Irishman tied with 1917. It didn't happen with
Didn't Fellowship of the Ring get 13?
Fellowship of the Ring. Benjamin Button had 13.
Yeah.
It does not always mean you're going to win Best Picture if you just have the most nominations.
Yeah.
In fact, lately that's not been the case. So
Sometimes voters like snub their noses at that, like
sometimes it's just
13.
sometimes it's just a matter of it is a movie with a lot of individual achievements that are nomination worthy.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always mean it coalesces into a Best Picture whole.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's a world where backlash continues to build against Emilia Perez,
Yep.
which, yes, is probably mostly online, probably mostly just Twitter and Letterboxd for now. But if the other campaigns are smart, they would start making that more mainstream.
Yeah.
You know, issues with representation, with the perspective of the film, both for Mexican and trans people. And there's a world where that just builds enough that it hurts its chances. Not just here, but also an international feature. Now that I'm Still Here as a Best Picture nominee, I could see it putting up a fight there. And
I mean, it could lose international feature to I'm Still Here.
Exactly. Which I'm currently predicting. I have this.
That would be wild.
Vision. It would be wild, but
If
not.
I'm Still Here won over Emilia Perez in international, but then Emilia Perez wins picture, that wouldn't make sense.
No, God, no.
Right?
No. If Emilia Perez loses international, it's not winning Best Picture. That'd be insane. But it reminds me of, in 2006, Pan's Labyrinth went in as the very clear favorite for, at that time, foreign language film.
Yeah, I wanted it to win.
It had a screenplay nomination. It won 3 craft awards. It was probably really close to a Best Picture nomination. And
Yep.
then at the last minute, it loses to The Lives of Others.
Yeah, I remember
which
that.
had
I remember
no
being
other
shocked.
nominations. It was shocking.
I was like, what?
But, I mean, there was different voting practices at that time with that category, but still, things happen. And I just struggle to see Emilia Perez doing well on a preferential ballot. It'll get number 1s, number 2s. I don't think it's... And then it's going to get a lot of number 8, 9, 10. I think.
I would not ever comfortably predict Emilia Perez is going to win picture, like even with the 13 nominations. I have always felt like Conclave has an outside shot. I think Missing Director hurts.
Yeah. I had
chances?
Conclave as my predicted winner for a while,
Yeah.
going off of just one craft, writing, picture.
Yeah.
There you go.
I thought it could pull like a Spotlight where it just like wins screenplay
Yeah.
and picture. It could overtake some of these others. Maybe there's not enough passion for some of the
Missing
other.
Director is tough. It's kind of
Yeah.
the only major miss it had. It also missed cinematography.
Yeah.
But, you know, got Isabella. It got everywhere else we planned it would. So, I don't know. I do think it's just The Brutalist, though.
Yeah.
It's not that simple, obviously. This is a wide open race, but The Brutalist makes the most sense to me right now.
I feel like there's a path for 2 or 3 others maybe, but right now I feel most comfortable predicting The Brutalist. It got everything it needed. It's probably winning director, so I feel like The Brutalist. I mean, it would be a great Best Picture win. That would be a great film to reflect the year in cinema, 2024. Looking back, in a decade or something, like, oh yeah, The Brutalist won picture. That's a great choice. So it makes sense.
It's very respected.
Yeah.
It's an achievement of filmmaking, and I think it's probably not going to place lower than number 5
Yeah.
on most ballots.
As long as they finish their screener.
Even if they don't, they still could put it up there. They nominated Felicity Jones, and nobody watched the second half.
Yeah.
So anything's possible.
That first hour was great. I'm voting for The Brutalist. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
Finish the movie.
I just think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, anything could win SAG. Brutalist is not nominated at
Right.
SAG. BAFTA could go one way. I feel like Critics' Choice goes to The Brutalist. That feels right. But
So, yeah, I mean, something else could win. This is one of the trickier categories, I think, right now to predict.
which is fun.
Which is
It's
fun.
Not always the case.
It's always fun. But our early prediction to win Best Picture at the Oscars this year is The Brutalist. Thanks so much for being here again, Cody, in person. Always a pleasure. We're going to be back soon breaking down all 23 of the categories with some videos in February. Get ready. We're going to talk about all of them. But for now, can you tell our viewers where they can find you online?
You can find me everywhere at CodyMonster91, all over social media, and you can find me writing and podcasting at Next Best Picture, where I'm currently covering the Sundance Film Festival.
Yes, we are at Sundance right now. I will have some Sundance movie reviews for you soon, as well as our Oscar coverage Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time at the Awards Contender.